Rough Magic, Chapter 2, starring Kieran Torres, Donald Von Griffin, Lloyd Montgomery, and me, GM Brandon Blackmore. Tonight's game brought to you by Southern Comfort. It's kind of like the redneck version of Drambuie. It has been about a year since anything terribly interesting happened to the PCs. In the meantime, Doc Celadon is doing what he does for a living, which is, well, why don't you describe that?
Basically providing unlicensed magical assistance for the lower classes.
Cool. Carol Desjardins, administrative assistant to Guy. What's his whole name? Guy something. I had him Guy St. Paul, who is a vice president in charge of something or other at the SIT.
The version control.
Yeah.
I have notes from last time we played.
Well, he still has his job, so you still have your job, and for the most part, it's paperwork and forms and reports and stuff. Not terribly interesting, but it keeps you busy. And once in a while, there is actually something interesting going on, so it keeps you engaged mentally. And as before, his effectiveness as at his job varies greatly. Sometimes he's focused for weeks at a time, and then he'll get a particularly bad run at the horse track and then be worried about his debts. Or he'll get a new mistress and he'll be out of the office a lot and that sort of thing. So it just varies. At the moment, he's reasonably competent. So he actually shows up to his own meetings and so forth. So that's makes your job a little bit easier. So that's kind of nice. And then Johnny Diamond, the American restaurateur of the Café Azure Americain. What's anything interesting you think could be going on there?
I suppose after a year, Arlene has well and goodly settled in.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all running smoothly.
Yeah, she appears to have been pretty much what she claimed to be when she showed up on your doorstep, which is an American from Louisiana who wanted a new start. And who's apparently...
is shocking.
What?
In this environment, it is shocking that she is what she claims to be.
Yeah. She doesn't really talk about her life back in the Americas, but you get the impression that she likes her new job, she likes the city, her French has gotten much, much better. She used to have just a horrific, worse than yours, accent, American accent. Now she just has a very faint American accent.
If I recall, she had a Nolan's French accent, whereas Johnny has a Quebecois French accent.
Yeah. To the people you meet, they don't care. So you can tell the difference. But most of the
totally
people in the city...
kinds of bumpkins.
Yeah. It's like, well, is that like an Alabama incomprehensible Southern accent, or is it a Texas incomprehensible Southern accent? To the people who don't have those accents, they don't care. It's just an incomprehensible Southern accent. So it's the same kind of thing. Or New York versus New Jersey, to spin it the other way.
Yeah, twang instead of drawl.
Anyway, Arlene Belfleur, or just Arlene. Everybody just calls her Arlene. Yeah, she's apparently happy working there. She's not ambitious. She doesn't want to take over the restaurant or anything. She's pretty much exactly what she seems to be. So either that or she's running a really long con. But
and after a year, if it's a really long con, I applaud her abilities.
There is a photograph framed of Carl, the guy she replaced, behind the bar above the counter. So he's remembered by most of the people who work there. There's been a lot of churn, waiters and waitresses and bartenders, they come and go. But the old timers, they'll remember Carl. So there's that. So it is snowing.
Has Raphael been around, or
I'm sorry, what?
has Raph been around, or is he keeping a low profile?
Oh, Raphael's always in trouble. You haven't heard from him in a couple of months.
Okay, but he's around.
Yeah, he's around.
Okay.
Usually he only calls you when he wants something. So
Yeah.
he doesn't just come by to hang out unless he's broke, and then he comes by so you'll give him a beer or a glass of wine or something. So, or if he wants to get you involved in something, like say he needs you to pretend that he's somebody important. So he's going to bring somebody into the nightclub, and he wants you to pretend that he's this other person, and that he comes there all the time, and then he's wealthy. Like, that's the kind of stuff he tries to get you involved in. I'm assuming most of the time you tell him no. But
Depends on how much profits in it.
For you.
For me.
okay. So it's it's a Friday night. The club is hopping, full of people. It is winter. I'm gonna shake it up. Usually I have it be the time of year it actually is, but screw that. It's winter. It's cold. There's snow on the ground. Everything has like that soft quiet that snow gives it. You crunch when you walk through it. The streets are full of that gray slush that is what happens in the streets when snow gets snowy, driven on. So there's that. It's cold. People come in, take off their coats. There's a coat room at the club where all the coats are kept. So that is oh Jesus, my cat bit me. I got her too riled up. It's just a piece of, it doesn't matter, you don't care. So anyway, but otherwise everything's going swell. No major problems, no dead bodies have turned up lately. It's been a pretty peaceful year since the last time you guys all were involved in something major. Doc Celadon.
Yes.
Can we say that you're there having dinner or something?
Sure.
It would be convenient.
I spent a lot of time there.
All right, then. So there's a band playing. It's some kind of American jazz band, which is popular among certain types that frequent Johnny's club. So you're just listening to music, and your glass of wine, which got brought to you just a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you're like halfway through it. You've drunk half a glass of wine. You're actually starting to eye the wait staff, planning to like flag them down to bring you the next one, because you've got like a third of a glass left, and you know it's going to be empty soon. But anyway, as you're sitting there, the wine starts to fizz, and then it turns transparent like water, mm-hmm. and there is a piece of paper floating in it.
Well, that's an interesting little effect, isn't it? I'll lean forward and see if I can see what the piece of paper says.
In very nice penmanship. There, it says, "Please meet me on the roof," and there is a cartouche, like an Egyptian cartouche, at the end of it.
Okay. Do I know how to get to the roof?
Have you ever been there? Probably not.
Don't think so, no.
Then I guess the answer is no. You don't know how to get to the roof.
Okay. Let's see. City ordinances. There's got to be a fire escape or something outside. Make sure I paid my tab and head out the back.
Okay. The music of the band like fades away behind you, and you're crunching through snow.
Mm-hmm. If there isn't a fire, you mind? Sorry, cat. If there isn't a fire escape, I'll just find a way to levitate to the roof.
Oh, you find a fire escape.
Okay.
You pull it down and clunk, 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 clunk. Let's say it's a... How many floor-story building is this, Donald?
Probably 2.
Okay.
The main area, and then quarters upstairs.
Okay. So you get up to the top of the second floor, and it looks like the top of a building. But at the one of the corners, that gives a good view of the land that slopes down toward the water.
Mm-hmm.
There is a awning, and there's a table, and there's a chair, and there's a couple of potted palm trees, and there's a kerosene lantern at one side, giving some illumination. And on the table, there's like a bowl with some stuff in it, and there's a bottle, looks like a bottle of wine, and there's a couple glasses. And in the chair, there's a guy in a white linen suit with a white hat.
Guess I'll walk over there and introduce myself.
Okay.
Walk over and say, I believe I was invited.
Make a... What would be suitable? Oh, diplomacy. Make a diplomacy roll against 6 plus 2d6. I gotta roll.
All right.
Everything's
So
opposed.
diplomacy is reason, so I got a 5 on the reason.
Oh, presence. Presence.
What's that?
Diplomacy is presence. Does it say reason?
It does under skills, yeah.
Damn it. Hang on.
Deception is present.
Yeah, diplomacy is under reason.
Well, that's a mistake.
Okay.
It's supposed to be presence. I'll hang on. I gotta make a note to fix that.
All right. Well, in which case, I rolled an 8 total.
Okay. And I rolled 6 plus 6 is 12. 8 total, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sorry,
All right.
crap roll.
Yeah, that's a crappy roll. You freak out just a little bit, visibly. I mean, you are visibly unnerved. How that you can play that out however you want, but essentially, this fella turns around.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
And he is obviously a mummy. I mean, there's not even any question in your mind. He's like a full-on mummy. Like, he's 4,000-year-old skin stretched over a skeleton. That's what he is.
I'll start and go, wait a moment, I think I know who you are. You're Thomas, isn't it?
Monsieur Thomas, you may call me Thomas, he says.
Oh, wow.
His voice is like very faint, and it sounds kind of like paper rustling. It's actually quieter than I'm doing it, but there's not a whole lot of noise up there to compete with him, so you can hear him okay. And I'm not going to whisper because it's annoying. So he says, "Please have a seat."
Oh, certainly. I'll take a seat.
Dr. Celadon is the name you're using now?
That's correct, yes.
I apologize for the lateness of the meeting. I've actually wanted to meet you for some time. I've read your monograph again just the other day on the Paracelsus paradox. Your insights are quite remarkable, particularly considering the information you have at hand. He's referring to like a paper, an academic paper you wrote back when you used to work for the Empire, probably like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Would you like a date? He gestures to the bowl of dates in front of him. They're quite fresh.
Thank you. No, you'll have to excuse me. I'm a bit taken aback. I didn't realize that I didn't realize that anybody had put the pieces together that I was the author of that particular publication.
Oh, if anyone else knows, that's not due to my telling them. No, I followed your career quite closely. It was a disappointment when you left Imperial service. I made it a point to find what had happened to you.
I see.
I hope I've not intruded into your privacy by doing so.
No, I don't think so. I don't know a whole lot about you, sir, but last time I checked, I don't think you're actually employed by the Imperial government. So,
No.
as long as we can keep it between ourselves, I think we're fine.
You have my word. I was wondering if I might retain your services. Normally, I would invite you to my home for this, but for reasons that you can probably surmise, I think that would draw unnecessary attention.
I see. Well, depending upon the nature of the service, I am available, so.
Oh. I have something. And he reaches down, and when he moves like he moves almost like a marionette.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's not natural looking, and he picks up a wooden box about yay big, about yay tall, and he puts it on a table and he slides it to you. He goes, if you want to take the commission after I describe it, this could be your payment, or if you prefer, I can pay you in marks as normal. But I thought that you might find this interesting.
Okay. One of my innate abilities is sense aura. Am I getting anything off of him or that box?
Ooh. Well, let me go look. I forgot. Let's see. I think it's perception, but let me double check. Doodle-doodle-doo. Oh, it is a perception, parentheses, reason roll. Difficulty 3. Okay. If you roll 3 more than you need, then you can also tell whether he's been in league with entities beyond the moral world. But yeah, DV3. So I do 2d6 plus 3, and then you roll 2d6 plus your perception. Plus your reason, and we'll see what we get.
I got 10.
Zowie. Wow. I rolled really well. So, you don't get anything particular off of him.
Okay.
And 10's pretty good. Off the box, you don't get anything off the box either.
Oh, all right.
For him, it's not like you're being blocked. It's just sort of because it's not reliable.
Right.
It's like sometimes you see things, sometimes you don't. It's just the way it works. But you don't get anything particular off of him. The box is just a box. You don't get anything off that because it's just a box.
Okay. Well, it would seem silly for him to call me all the way up here just to do something.
Do you hesitate to open it?
What's that?
Do you hesitate to open it?
I'll look at it in a minute and then go ahead and open.
Okay. He's about to say something when you open it because it's apparent that you hesitated. But since you go ahead and open it, he doesn't say anything. So you open it. It has a small notebook with a leather. It's like a hand-bound notebook with a leather binding, leather cover on like hand-cut paper, and it is lots of very, very tiny handwriting. Cookie. Some of it's in German, and some of it's in Latin, and some of it appears to be in code.
Okay. Intriguing, sir. What can you tell me about it?
Oh, it is a notebook which once belonged to Paracelsus. I thought that you might find it interesting. It's
Very much
not
so.
the most valuable of his notebooks. That, unfortunately, is beyond my reach. But it does have several passages pertaining to the paradox of your paper, and I thought you might find it illuminating.
Certainly, yes.
Would you accept that in exchange for your services?
Well, what's the nature of your need for my services?
There is an object that I would like to acquire for my collection. Unfortunately, my previous contact is deceased, and I fear it may fall out of my hands unless measures are taken swiftly.
I see. So whereabouts is the object? And
If I knew, I would not need to retain your services.
I see. Okay. So you want me to track it down for you?
As you see fit, I will not dictate the manner in which you carry out my wishes, but I do wish to obtain the object.
Okay. What's the object?
That is complicated, but I can tell you what they think it is. They believe it to be a weapon. I think the phrase is death ray, which is absurd, but let's see. I will tell you everything I know. Oh, you're probably wondering why I would not have my own servants take care of this. If I were in your position, I would wonder that. The thing
I must
is,
admit to being a little curious.
I value two things, loyalty and competence. Unfortunately, I rarely find both of them in the same person. So, my own servants who are competent for this are, alas, not entirely trustworthy. You have the advantage of posing no threat to me. No offense intended. I mean, your knowledge of my business affairs is absent.
We
So-
operate in completely different worlds, so yes, I can understand.
You understand. So I can rely upon your competence without worrying about your loyalty or your ambitions.
That makes sense.
My contact, Mr. Clark, is was a government functionary. He was going to arrange for the object to be misplaced so that my agents could obtain it. Unfortunately, he was found dead this morning, which rather throws a monkey wrench in my plans. So, if you could find out where it is, you need not take it to retrieve it yourself if you can find out with accuracy where it can be found. However, if you do actually deliver it physically to me, I would be grateful for the convenience.
Understood. So you say Mr. Clark was a government official?
Yes.
Which one?
Under secretary of some military agency. I can give you more details. One of my servants will drop it off to you. His address, business address, phone number, all those academic things.
Okay. Any details or other tidbits of information concerning the object and the last people who had it would certainly make my job a little bit easier.
He'll give you. I'm not going to do the voice the whole time because otherwise I'll be here all night. he knows the name of the guy who claims to have invented it. It was not invented by that guy. He actually found it and modified it
Okay.
in such a way that makes it more dangerous. And then he approached the government about it, and then Clark, who for reasons that Thomas doesn't get into, Clark alerted him about it and thought he might be interested because it's like this kind of some kind of occult object, and he was. And Clark was going to arrange to have it like misdirected or lost in transit, and then Clark died. So he knows the name of the guy who supposedly invented it, and he knows Clark's name, and at the moment, that's all he knows. Also, he has a description of what it does, and he'll describe it to you.
Okay.
Over a radius of about 30 meters, which is a sizable area, it sheds a combination of lights which overwhelms the senses, and if it is kept, it uses a chemical chemical battery, just an ordinary chemical battery, like a lead acid, like a car battery, to power it. But if it's left on long enough, it will actually dissolve people, is what the inventor thinks it does. That's not actually what it does. What it does is actually makes the visible invisible, and vice versa. And if it's left on long enough, the physical people will actually be translated to another level of reality.
Oh, okay.
So the inventor thinks it's a death ray. He thinks it disintegrates people. It doesn't.
Right.
It actually just translocates them to another level of reality.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually relieves me a little bit because up until that point, it sounded like what I was working on when I was still working for the government, which was essentially large area effect, area denial weapons, like basically lasers and particle beams and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm actually kind of relieved once I find out that it's not a death ray, and it's like, oh, okay, good. Then it's got nothing to do with anything that I was working on 10 years ago.
That's really funny. So that's the thing. It is dangerous, but not for the reasons that the people who have it think it's dangerous.
Right.
It's dangerous because it allows people in this level of reality to see another level of reality.
Right.
What makes that dangerous is that it allows that other level of reality to see here, and
right.
that's what's actually dangerous. So, vaguely Cthulhu-esque, Hound of Tindalos kind of stuff going on there.
Right.
Potentially. So far, nothing like that's happened, but potentially that could happen.
Very, very high-powered killing gas flight.
Effectively.
Okay, well, get all the details from him that I can, and tell him that or ask if there is any kind of a time limit. Does he have to have the thing immediately, or am I under a ticking clock or anything?
No.
Okay.
He seems a little surprised by the question, and he's like, "Oh, no, take your time. I'm in no particular hurry."
All right. Well, I've got all the details and everything I need. I know what my pay is going to be. So yeah, I will. I'll need a point of contact, a method to get in touch. Whatever person you want me to contact when I've got more information or anything like that, then by all means.
Oh, point of contact. I would prefer that my involvement not be known, so having you come to my home would be inadvisable. How about this? He reaches. He's got like a bag next to him, which you didn't notice until just now, but now you do. It's like a doctor's bag, like an alligator leather doctor's bag, and he takes out like a piece of paper and a fountain pen.
I carry one very similar.
And he draws like a couple of icons, like a bird and a palm tree and something else, and like draws a circle, like a rounded rectangle around it, and he passes it over to you, and he goes, "If you draw this and then set it afire, I'll know that you want to speak, and I'll contact you.
Okay, very good.
You will remember it?"
Certainly, yes.
Okay, and he takes it back and puts it in his bag. Do you have any other questions? He says.
No, I think you've given me plenty to go on, and I'll get started. I'll be in contact with you when I have something to report.
Thank you. I appreciate your taking the time. And once again, it's a great pleasure to meet you. And I'm sorry that it took me so long.
And you, it's you're one of the people in this area that I have considered a person of interest, and I'm glad to have finally made your acquaintance.
You probably have heard things about me that are unsavory. I should warn you that they're nearly all true.
We all have skeletons in our closets.
Indeed.
If you need to contact me, the easiest way would be through this place. I know the owner, and he's trustworthy enough to pass a message on.
Indeed. You were involved in that business with the Winter Court a year or two ago.
Oh, yes. I'll mention the Anton, whatever his name was, the bad guy.
Who has not been seen since.
Quite an unpleasant individual.
I never met him, but his reputation was repugnant.
I'm afraid so, yes.
Well, have a good evening.
And
Thank
you.
you for allowing me to interrupt it.
Not at all. It certainly made my evening that much more interesting.
Would you like to take the dates with you? They've come quite a long way, and I don't eat them myself, and I'm afraid they would be wasted on my servants.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You take the bullet dates?
Yes, why not?
It would only be rude to refuse such hospitality.
All right, cool.
Well, not only that, but I can probably use it to track him with later on if I have to.
Alrighty then. So what do you do?
I'll carry my bowl of dates back downstairs.
Okay. When you get to the edge of the roof to go down the fire escape, you see that the awning and the chair and all the rest of it are just gone.
I've gone.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So.
man, he's got cool special effects.
All right. So meanwhile, inside the club, Connie.
Yes.
Carol. Connie is your other character. Carol Desjardins.
I'm gonna start going with some other letter names.
Do you have a Charlotte?
Yeah, I do.
All right then. So Corinne, down in the bar. No, Carol. Let's say for sake of argument, you're at the club. Why not? Oh, here's a question. Are any of your characters, have boyfriends or girlfriends?
Not currently.
Not
I do take payment in kind from some of the local prostitutes for youth potions. So.
All right then.
nothing long lasting. Nothing of note.
Yeah, depends on the, maybe she's met somebody, but, she has a more mundane job than some people around here.
Oh, Carol in particular gets asked out to drinks fairly regularly by her colleagues. And depending on how she handles that, if she says no, they'll be persistent for a little while, but then they'll give up. And then a new person will come in the office, and then they'll ask her out for drinks. And so it's kind of like a recurring cycle.
Yeah, she has probably strict rules about that because she knows that's a good way to get into travel, but it might be like, no dating within the office. It can be within government, but not her own office type thing.
That is wise. Carol is wise. All right, so cool. So you're hanging out at the club, and who comes in? Oh, this person comes in. Hang on, I'll share it with you. Doodly-doodly-doo. This lady comes in.
Hello, nurse.
That's familiar.
It's Penelope Cruz. I mean, I don't think I've used her in this game before. We'll find out. Yeah. Excuse me. She comes in and asks Arlene something, and she has a high presence. So when she walks in, people notice. And so Carol notices her. And we'll say Johnny's busy. He's in the back or something. Mm-hmm. So talks to Arlene. And Arlene looks around, doesn't see Johnny, and gestures over to a table and seats her at a table. And she just waits there. And after a bit, Johnny comes out. What are you up to, Johnny? Anything interesting other than hanging out, running the club?
Let's say I've just sent a courier out the back door on my latest of money-making papers.
Okay. You come back into the club, and you take care of something. You go start making the rounds of tables, meet and greeting. Hey, folks, how's it going? Yeah, that kind of thing. And Arlene comes up.
American-sized mug of coffee for myself. Like the French go, why would anyone drink that much coffee in one sitting?
Why are you drinking coffee out of a beer mug?
But yeah, like diner, American diner size coffee mug.
Well, they do drink cafe au lait. This isn't like a bowl, but it's like a breakfast drink. It's not something you drink like any other time.
It's his
so walking around with a huge mug of coffee just seems bizarre.
Yeah.
All the more reason to do it.
So Arlene is waiting patiently, and you leave a table, and she comes up and says, "Hey, boss! Now, over my shoulder, you see the brunette at the table by herself with the eyes that could, like, ignite your soul?"
How could I miss that?
Well, she wants to talk to you.
Oh, the knight is looking up.
Okay. Well, do we send a bottle of wine or something? Or you gonna talk to her in the back, or what do you want?
Well, I think the young lady should decide her own fate.
Okay. If you need anything, let me know. She walks off.
I will stroll on over to the table.
She does not know you and has not met you. But when you walk over, you clearly have the air of the guy who owns the place. Your presence is what, 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
I pretty much walk over and sit down at her table.
So, hang on.
You know, I do give her the nod of greeting. But...
All right. You make a diplomacy roll versus 3 plus my roll, and we will see what happens.
Okay, so that's 2d6 plus my presence?
Yes, 2d6 plus your presence.
Okay, 5, so 11.
Oh, wow. You pegged it. You nailed it. You were much in excess of what it needed to be. Okay. You can see why 100 guys will fall in love with a woman this glamorous and smart. Fortunately for you, you're not one of those guys. You are just too cool for school. So, she says, Mr. Diamond? Or no, she doesn't. She says, "Are you Mr. Diamond?"
The one and only. And I take a sip out of the big coffee mug. And you are?
Margaret. Margaret Deacon. Hang on, let me write that down. Margaret Deacon. You helped, and she names somebody you helped like a year ago, and I could scroll back through the game and tell you who it was, but oh, Sabine Bonaire. You helped the brother of Sabine Bonaire about a year ago, and
yes, a terrible series of events.
Benjamin Bonaire. You helped Benjamin Bonaire. That's I had to go look up his name.
Yeah, it's a terrible series of events. It seems he fell in with entirely the wrong crowd.
Well, I was hoping you could help me. I can pay you.
I lean forward and give her the flirting expression. Are you a socialist?
No.
Oh, fantastic then. What might I be able to help you with?
Well,
nothing against socialists, mind you. I just like to know before we start.
about a month ago, my sister, Helen, Helen Deacon, went missing. A few days later, she showed up again, but there was something wrong with her. She didn't speak, or barely spoke. She wouldn't move unless you moved her. She's alive and awake, but she's not entirely there. And I think someone did this to her. The police have not been helpful, and I think I may have waited too long to ask for help with it, but I kept hoping she would get better, and she hasn't. So, I know this sounds strange. I don't have anything else to go on, but I thought if anyone could find out what happened to her, it would be you.
Well, that does sound intriguing. Where did she vanish from?
That's an excellent question.
Why else would I ask it?
I don't know exactly where she vanished from. Part of the problem is that Helen, she sometimes disappears or leaves for days at a time. That's not that unusual. But she hadn't been home for days, and I began to worry. And then several days more went by, and then she just showed up at our house.
And your house is?
The Deacon Estate. Make a culture roll versus something I roll.
Culture is reason.
Yeah.
10 total.
10 is exactly what you needed. And the Deacons are a wealthy family, which explains why she would know Sabine Bonaire and Benjamin Bonaire.
So I probably didn't even need to ask that.
Well, maybe you did to be polite. Let's see.
It could have been their town home. It could have been their Parisian home.
True. Okay.
I don't assume that everyone with an estate in Demerey-sur-Mer actually lives there.
Around 2 years ago, a year and a half to 2 years ago, Their father, Roscoe Deacon, that's not a very French name. I'll think of something better. Henri. Hang on. French names. Sorry. Excuse me.
Recall. Instead of Roscoe, recall.
I've already used Raphael. Rongvald? That doesn't sound very French. These aren't French. These are just names. Damn it. French. Edouard. Edward. There you go. I like that. Edward Deacon. Their father, Edward Deacon, a year and a half or so ago, was kind of a notorious gambler. He eventually started endangering his business with his gambling. His daughter, Helen, took over the business and has been running it since then, and eventually cut him off financially. So essentially did like a leveraged buyout of her own father, and she kept paying his debts for a while. And this is stuff you just know because you're just underworld lowlife guy. And eventually,
that's how I describe it in my friends.
So he essentially just lost control of the business because he was spiraling into this dissolute life of gambling and drinking and drugs and depression and black market magic and just whatever.
And he made the tragic decision not to involve me. Else it might have turned out better for him.
So Helen took over the business from him, and he kind of let her because she couldn't have if he hadn't let her, and that was a couple of years ago. So, I forgot where I was going with that. So anyway, so Margaret is Helen's younger sister, and about a month ago, she says Helen vanished. She would be gone for days. It was not unusual, but that she was for gone like a week, that was longer than usual, and that she showed up apparently catatonic, that was very unusual. The police have not been helpful. Okay, there you go. That's your backstory.
Okay. Yes, and she is at the estate now?
Yes.
I assure you of my discretion, but I may have to involve some compatriots.
There's one thing that discretion is important. I don't want my father humiliated any further. He's made terrible decisions and will probably make more. But I do not want to be the cause of any other pain that happens to him.
And if he is behind Helen's situation?
Well, I'm sure that's not the case.
Oh, of course not. But we must consider all possibilities. You wish, even in such a case, you wish discretion.
Tell me before you tell anyone else, okay? Can we agree on that?
We understand each other perfectly.
I'm not really playing her as like the cool femme fatale, but she is. I'm just not good at role-playing that.
In that case, there's another level of flirting going on then between the two, because when two people of this high presence get together, there's always some text.
Yeah. I'm actually role playing her as what?
I said by now the room is silent. All eyes are on you two.
Well, it's loud. It's a Friday night, and it's freezing cold outside, so the club is packed. So there's really no harm of anybody overhearing you guys. But I mean, now since you mention it, let's see what else is going on. But yeah, I'm kind of role playing her as like Ernest, But she's actually like much more cool and very serious. And when she describes like her sister's behavior, it's very analytical. Like she's extremely observant. Like she would describe like the way her sister's vision focuses or doesn't, and her tone of voice. The way she describes things is actually very clinical and analytical, which might be, depending on how sexist Johnny is, might be a surprise coming from this smoking hot brunette.
Yeah.
Although you know Carol, so you know at least one other, whip smart woman.
Analytical. Hell, I used to be an analytical female. Well, in London. Because remember in my backstory, Johnny pretended to be a female on the black market when he made his fortune in the States.
Your fictional persona, like the opposite of Remington Steele. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Like he wasn't actually a female, but the persona people thought they were dealing with was this female smuggler pirate.
A matronly female.
Oop. I gotta say goodnight to my sweetie.
Good night, Susan.
Good night, Susan.
She says goodnight to you guys.
Yeah, no, Johnny doesn't have the whole sexist image like that.
Okay, cool. Anyway, she'll give you access to anything she has access to. Keys to the house, answer any questions you have, as long as you find out what happened to her sister and don't involve her father or embarrass her family.
Okay. Well then, I suppose in your structure, more likely we are to find a solution. Would you care for any refreshments?
No, thank you. I've eaten. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I have this backwards. Margaret is this explains. I made a mistake. Helen isn't the one who took over running the company. Margaret, the one you're talking to, is.
Ah, okay.
So, the younger,
No,
the smart.
makes a lot less sense.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. What?
It would make more sense if Helen were the one who took over the company, because then that could be the reason for what happened to her. With Margaret being the one who took over the company, it means Helen's state is more of a mystery rather than less of a mystery.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the someone who commands that part of a business empire would have plenty of people going after, who would have reason to do that. Her sister, on the other hand, that's another story. Now Johnny is actually intrigued instead of pretending to be intrigued.
Okay.
It seems so straightforward.
Well, Helen has always been... okay, yeah, this ties into the Helen disappearing days of time. Helen's always been a bit wild, and you can tell that Margaret does not entirely approve of the fact that Helen has always been a bit wild. Mm-hmm. So Margaret has kind of had to take on the responsible role at the company. Let's see, what else is going on?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Do you have any specific questions you want to ask? Because I have a lot of specific answers.
Oh, with this new twist on it. Has Helen been seeing any gentlemen socially of late?
I don't know who she's been seeing lately. Um, hmm. The only man I can...
That was making weird noises.
Oh. The only man I can name is Marshall Daly, a writer that I know she was seeing. I don't know if she still is or still was when she disappeared. He seemed okay, kind of passionate the way writers sometimes are. Maybe a little angry. He might be jealous type. I don't know. Other than that, I don't really know.
And yourself, I hate to pry, but are there any recent or soon to occur business dealings that this event might cause you disturbance that would improve the negotiating position of the other side?
Not that I'm aware.
Johnny's basically trying really hard not to say, and your enemies, dear.
Let's see. No, not that I'm aware. Nothing. The business is predictable. It takes management, but nothing strange or disruptive has happened.
Well then, I suppose then tomorrow I should call upon your sister, perhaps with a friend or two.
You're not going to get anything out of her. There's really no point in you meeting her. There's really no point in you meeting Helen. You won't get anything out of her, and the best case scenario is you'll cause at worst, you'll cause a fit.
My dear, you don't know much about thaumaturgy, do you?
No. Do you?
Please, trust me. It is part of my business.
I don't really think it's a good idea.
Well, then I'm not certain that I can help you. I shall try. But chances are reduced that there will be a outcome to your liking.
Okay, yeah, I suppose you can talk to her. But I think it's a waste of time.
Oh, most useful things in this world are a waste of time. Funny how that happens.
Okay. When Doc Celadon comes back into the club, Johnny Diamond is talking to somebody who oozes as much presence as he does.
A pretty girl.
Essentially.
Hey, what a shock.
All right. She says, "Well, if you..."
You're a femme fatale because nobody's died yet.
She doesn't really know where you should start. She seems at a loss as far as that goes. So it's really because she doesn't know where else you should start that she says okay to you talking to Helen. Even though she knows and tells you, Helen won't talk back. So, but I guess you have to start somewhere.
Yes, I would like to bring a doctor friend of mine to consult.
Oh, well, I had her taken to a doctor. Her injuries had all healed by the time she showed up, and they didn't find any significant wounds, just bruises and superficial cuts. So she'd been through something, but it had pretty much healed by the time she reappeared on the grounds. But if you think bringing a doctor would be helpful, I suppose there's no problem with that.
Well, there are your doctors and then there are my doctors.
All right.
Remember, this is what I do.
Okay. You will see this through, though, right?
To the best of my abilities.
Okay. I don't know what your normal rate or fee is.
Oh, well. Shall we call this one a personal favor?
I'm not certain I want to owe a personal favor to you, Mr. Diamond.
Oh. Oh, you are wiser than you look. Better and better each day.
Well, decide on a fee, and I'll pay it. If you follow through and find out what happened to Helen.
I will do what I can.
All right. Well, you have a good night, sir. She stands up.
Thank you. I go ahead and make eye contact with Doc Celadon as she leaves. And give him a little chin up nod.
Okay, I'll walk over and offer him a date. Date?
Huh.
That's-
I bite off of one of them. A bit sweeter than my last one, but the social circles are so sparse these days.
Doc Celadon's holding a carved rosewood bowl filled with dried dates.
Yeah, I'll
It's
go
a nice
ahead
bowl.
and on one.
Anyway, so what do I owe the honor? What's up?
Do you know anything about walking catatonia?
A bit. I did some studies for it in my clearly misspent youth. Is this induced or internal?
Uncertain at the moment. I believe induced.
Okay. Is it caused by like physical trauma, mental trauma, thaumaturgical trauma? You know?
A young lady vanished. She's prone to wander, but was gone for longer than the usual. When she returned, she could barely speak, barely move of her own volition at all. And apparently had some scrapes, perhaps bruises.
But no greater physical trauma than that.
Not from what I have heard.
How long ago did it happen?
I go ahead and fill Doc Celadon in. What's it, about a month ago?
A month ago.
About a month ago.
All right. Well, I need to actually make a physical examination of the person in question in order to make any kind of a guess as to what's happened to her.
Yes, and her sister seemed to think that unimportant, which makes me doubly sure that he should see her tomorrow. If
Okay,
you're-
I know there are certain drugs that can induce catatonia like that. Torture can do it too, but usually there's a lot more physical evidence if there was torture. But yeah, my dance card is open. I can certainly take a look with you if you'd like.
I would appreciate it greatly. I've already mentioned that I'm bringing my own doctor.
Oh, okay. Speaking of that, I've got a bit of an inkling of what I'm dealing with here, but I was kind of hoping that you might be able to give me a little bit more information. What can you tell me about Mr. Thomas,
Thomas.
the Egyptian?
I know of him. I haven't met the man,
Oh, okay.
but he's quite
Hey,
well
He
known.
was on your roof a few minutes ago.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Oh, next time, please do invite me up.
Oh, good Lord, now. The little I know about him is that I would rather be, to be perfectly honest, I'd rather be sharing a large basket full of snakes. He's kind of a dangerous individual, from what I've been able to gather. Not a particularly savory one, but certainly interesting. But he asked me to do a favor for him, so I figured I might as well.
Well, aside from your doing a favor for him, it sounds like most of my social circle. Yourself included.
We don't deal with saints around here. We really don't. But I will need to talk to Carol, to see if I can find out some more information concerning the last known whereabouts of a death ray.
The death?
Well, where's the last place you saw it?
Just look for the huge pile of bodies. But yes, if Carol is here, I will. I'll head over to her table and make plans with Johnny to go see his patient.
Okay. And if Carol would like to join us, Johnny wouldn't be opposed to being part of that conversation either.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sounds endlessly fascinating.
So if you both are coming over to my table, or flagging me over or whatever.
Let's walk on over to her table.
Okay.
I do believe she is having drinks over there.
Okay. So you walk
However,
over to Carol's table. This can't be good, Carol.
yeah.
I signal Arlene to bring us a round of our usuals.
Good evening, gentlemen. What are you two cards up to tonight?
Oh, gainfully employed, if you must know. I'm actually coming to you for information and advice.
Ah, of course.
Myself, I'm drawing a joker.
Well, have a seat.
I think Johnny's just here because he's bored.
I gathered that by the Joker comment.
Anyway, give Carol the basics that the good Mr. Thomas gave me concerning the guy who mysteriously died and approximately what department he worked for. Wondering if she could find out any information about the details concerning his untimely demise.
Mm.
I assume you don't have it on the top of your head, but if you could find out, I'd certainly appreciate it.
You do look like looking for interesting things, don't you?
Yes, it's certainly worth dinner or anything else that my services can provide for you.
All right. I will look into it and see what I can discreetly pull up for you.
And other than that, I will sit around and chat for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, because you guys are there.
I will, as long as we're sitting around and chatting with Carol, I will offhandedly mention the number of wealthy young ladies who have gone missing lately, to see if that triggers anything.
You did that?
What?
I'm afraid I don't deal in wealthy young ladies, so I couldn't tell you.
There seems to be a rash of missing young ladies. About a month ago would be the peak of it. My dear, have you ever heard, what was the name of the writer?
The writer that Helen was supposedly seeing?
Yeah.
I have that here. Hang on. No, I didn't make a note of it. Hang on. What's this guy's name? What's his name? Marshall something. Marshall what? Marshall Daly.
Marshall Daly.
Hang on. I'm thinking of that.
I don't suppose the name Marshall Daly has come up in any reports.
No.
No.
No role necessary. That's Marshall Daly. Doesn't operate in the circles that your agency does.
Do I even recognize the name of the
No.
author?
Well, you could make a culture roll to recognize it. Sure, make a culture roll.
I even have dice this time. How many?
2 plus reason plus if you've got expertise, another d6.
Let's see, that's a skill. So, let's see, my reason plus the culture. I do not have expertise in culture.
You do or don't?
I don't. I just have the
Oh.
skill.
Okay. So 2d6 plus your reason.
14.
Wow. You've actually heard of him. He's a writer. Fiction writer. But a serious fiction writer.
Mm.
He wrote one novel about 6 years ago, was critically acclaimed, and everyone who was into that sort of thing was looking forward to seeing the next one, reading the next one, and it took like 4 years for the next one, and it was disappointing. So people are wondering if he's going to write another one. So that's what you know about Marshall Daly.
Well, all I know about him is he wrote a critically acclaimed novel 6 years ago. He wrote another one 4 years after that, and that was apparently disappointing. And hasn't done much since apparently.
His name comes up to let me know. He was recently socially connected to Helen.
Whatever.
Helen Deacon?
Deacon. To Helen Deacon, who has been feeling rather poorly of late. Do keep that quiet.
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll just, if there is nothing else, I will hang out with them for the rest of the evening, and
We will have a good time and not do anything of great importance.
Okay. The night progresses as you would expect, and the next day comes. What do you do?
Go with Johnny Diamond to see his,
Yeah, to go see Helen.
whatever her name is. Yes, Helen.
depends on what day of the week it is.
Saturday.
Because it was Friday night at the club.
That's right. Probably could go into the office and take a quick peek at anything useful. There's probably less time to do it anyway. Catching up on paperwork, that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay, and I fill in Doc Celadon with what I know about Helen and her situation.
According to Margaret, police brought her to the manor about a month ago. She was dressed in a slip and she had some cuts and bruises. Margaret had a doctor look at her, and the cuts and bruises were basically healed or healing, so they had all happened several days earlier. Helen had been missing for about a week at that point. When she showed up, she did not recognize Margaret, did not speak, was just kind of like, she's awake, you could move around, but she was non-responsive. That's pretty much what Margaret knew and what she told Johnny. And presumably what Johnny tells Doc Celadon.
Yeah. Okay.
So is Carol going with them or not?
I
was unclear on that.
I thought it was a good idea. Otherwise, I'll go into the office and dig up info.
On who? Marshall Daly?
The Clark, the guy that got killed.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's right. And yes, I'm going to continue calling it a death ray.
It's a death ray. It's not really a death ray.
It's fun to call something like a death ray, even when it's, especially when it's not. Is it raining out there?
Raining its ass off up here.
Gaspard. It rained here earlier. Gaspard Clark, deceased.
I'm gonna let Gracie in just in time. She likes her balcony.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. This is just a matter of looking stuff up. So, Gaspard Clark was a member of the Committee on Military Affairs, and which is about as generic a name as you can think of. Essentially, it has to do with funding. His particular committee's purpose has to do with funding of research projects and development of new weapons and things like that. They are located here in Camaret-sur-Mer because there's the big naval base, like just down the coast from here, which is the largest facility for nuclear ships in the Empire. So that's pretty significant because those are new. That's like a new thing. It's like it's still super secret. Anyway, he was found dead in his house. You can find that out. His son was blamed for it.
Oh.
What was I looking for? Oh, I know what I misplaced it. That's why I can't find it. Well, duh. All right. Let's see. Where's...
Yeah, Gracie.
Come on, man. Where's you? No, I'm on you. Where's S? No.
Okay, there you go.
I'll open the door, but you don't want to go out. I promise you.
Oh, what was it called? I had it. Was it under
It's not.
Gumshoe? No. Oil engine?
No, you want
It's
no.
oil engine. There it is. That's what I'm looking for.
I told you. Told you couldn't die.
Gracie apparently didn't believe Donald that it was raining outside until I opened the door for her.
Did she find out the hard way?
Well, she didn't get wet. She sat there at the doorway.
Yeah, looking out at her balcony like it had betrayed her. Come over here, I'll give you a subscription.
Okay. His son, Richard Clark, is currently the chief suspect. Because he was found in the home. Well, he's supposedly the one who found the body, but he had blood on his hand, and he can't explain how he got that. So he's the one who's suspected of the crime. He was arrested and then released, but he's still the prime suspect. Like, he made bail. Family's wealthy. So there's that. What else is going on?
Which should teach you a lesson. Never be the one that finds the body. If you find a body, wait for someone else to come along with it.
Okay. Where do we start with that? Okay. Yeah. So that's really all you know. Oh, you can make some kind of... Oh. What would bureaucracy be? Good question.
Oh wait, I know how to find that out. Where's my old one?
Culture, maybe? Culture sounds like a bureaucracy kind of a thing. That's not really what I had in mind. Diplomacy, investigation. Oh, investigation. Hey, make an investigation roll. See if you find something.
Investigation is reason. I am an expert at that because that is my job.
I rolled really well.
So I get extra dice with the expertise?
Yeah, 1 die. If you have expertise, you add 1 die.
Alright. It's a good thing because that third die rolled a 1. 14.
Wow, you made it. You need at least 13. While you're digging through things on Gaspard Clark, you start finding... How to put it? They're one step up from rumors, but they're not actionable in the sense that your agency cares. So there's... You see like a reference to... particularly, there was a reference to a series of hearings that were held a few years ago about medicine that was sent to troops near the border between the Empire and the Ottoman Turks. And there was some impropriety involved in there, and Gaspard Clark was the chairman of the hearing. He was the guy who actually ran that hearing, and there were questions about whether or not he conducted the hearing appropriately, but it didn't fall under your agency's purview, so it's basically just got filed. So, and you find a couple of other things like that. He may have been dirty, that kind of thing, but again, any investigation that took place did not lead to anything that's actually in your agency's purview, which is like magic charms and stuff. So it basically just got filed. They don't care. That's really all you find.
Okay. And anything about this death ray that he mentioned?
No, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, didn't think so.
Although the Committee on Military Affairs, which is the committee that he headed, does, among its other responsibilities, does approve funding for experimental weaponry and things.
Okie dokie. Well then, if that's it, then was there anything you wanted me to do?
Oh, I just mentioned
No, well then.
Helen and her writer friends.
Marshall Daly?
Marshall Daly and Helen Duquesne were the two names that I brought up.
Oh heck, I'm just sitting there up by myself in the office. Anything come up on either of those names?
With the 14, I'll throw Marshall Daly at you. There's a record, because it's the kind of place this is they keep records on anything. So he has a file It mentions he's a Marxist, so not to be trusted. But nothing related to thaumaturgy or magic smuggling or anything like that.
Okay, good to know. Alrighty, close up and.
And you do all that before lunch. That doesn't
Yeah.
take that long.
Oh,
So you
that-
can head out with Giant Diamond if you want. But you don't
Yeah.
have to.
Oh, if I was invited along, then, then I'll go. But, yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
if you want. Not going to be that exciting. It's going to be me staring blankly into some woman's eyes for about 30 minutes, but that's about it.
And then afterwards we could discuss your stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Easier than trying to get contact with you afterwards in case something happens.
All right.
All right. So
Where are we headed, Brandon?
You are headed to
the wealthy side of town.
the Deacon Manor, we'll call it. Deacon Manor. It's a really nice place up on a hill.
Chateau.
Something like that. It's a 3-story neoclassical structure in the rich part of Camaret-sur-Mer, which I had a name for that. Hang on. Neighborhoods.
I'll not wear my sword in the large obvious pistol.
Let's see. Oh, wow. Did I never actually... Huh.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the setting section, I've got like all the various neighborhoods, titles of them.
Yeah.
Several of them are just XXX, expand.
Yes. I noticed that myself.
I completely forgot about that. St. Barb. St. Barb is where the rich people live. I knew I had a name for it. Santa Barbara. St. Barb. I need to visit the restroom, and I'll be back. I'm going to pause. And now we're recording. Okay, so you guys, early Saturday afternoon. It's about -5 degrees centigrade, which is what you European people use. And snow covering everything. It's frosty cold, bright sun in the sky, bright blue sky, not a cloud to be seen, but cold. And the roads are slushy and gray, but everything else is like frosty, smooth, white, covered with snow. So you head out to St. Barb, to the Deacon Manor, which is a 3-story Renaissance-looking place, I think it was. Large 3-story neoclassical. Sorry, Renaissance. What was I thinking? All right. Drive up to the house. Wheels crunching through the snow. You're there. Ta-da! You're outside the house. What do you do?
Go up the front door and ring the bell.
A gentleman comes to the door, and he looks at you, and you're all dressed reasonably nice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't look like bums. And he... Who's got the highest presence here?
I think I do at 6.
I also have 6. Wait, presence?
Mine is merely 4.
Perception or presence?
Present.
Presence.
Presence is a. So,
Perception's not a stat anymore. It's a skill roll.
oh, what, sorry.
It was
wrong
will.
one.
It was Will.
Oh, we were present. Number 6. Yeah. I was 6.
Oh, wow. No wonder you rose up to be the assistant of this powerful guy.
Exactly.
You speak and people listen. It's how you hold your own in those meetings. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess he looks at Giant Diamond and he says, Are you Monsieur Diamond?
Uh,
I don't usually. Literally everyone has a French accent because they're all French.
They're all French.
Yes, we're all actually speaking French, but we don't speak French, so.
yes,
No,
but he
so-
speaks French with a French accent.
That's just how French he is. So
It's Brandon denoting that he has a Parisian accent.
there you go. Monsieur Diamond?
Yes, I believe Margaret informed you that I would be by.
He frowns a little at you, disapprovingly, when you use her first name like that. He says, Miss Deacon informed me you were coming. Please follow me. And he turns around and he walks into the house.
Okay. And follow.
And then he comes back and he closes the door behind you, and then he goes in front of you again, and he continues walking in the house. He takes you to like a sitting room, a foyer. It's got like a little love seat and like a chair and a couple of small tables. It's not a huge room, but it's enough for the three of you and probably a couple of other people to stand around in if you wanted. And he says, please wait here. I shall request Miss Deacon to join you. And he turns around and leaves. And you're there for like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, if no one does anything interesting.
Well,
It's over.
I was gonna say I'll ask Carol. Would you prefer to be seen as an assistant or arm candy?
Let's go with assistant. Arm candy, unless you think arm candy will be less noticed. But am I ever, that was the whole.
Then how much do you wish them to underestimate you?
There's that.
A little or a lot?
Well, I'm probably not of any importance in this one, so okay, arm candy.
Okay,
Okay.
we got our story straight now, Brandon.
Okay. Margaret comes in, and for the people who... I think you've all met her, actually, but I'll show you again anyway. Here you go. Margaret comes in, and she looks at the three of you, which is at least one more than she was expecting. And she goes, Mr. Diamond? So, which of you is the doctor?
That would be me. Walk over, offer my hand.
She'll give you her hand, and
Dr. Celadon. Great. Lovely to meet you.
she looks you up and down in a it's not quite haughty, and it's not quite defiant. It's something in between.
Okay.
So,
I look like a slightly disreputable doctor at this point.
well, she looks at you like you're a slightly disreputable doctor.
Excellent. Very good.
And she looks at Carol and she says, and you are?
And, this is Miss Desjardins. She's my companion for today.
Interesting.
She's just in perfectly current modern family. She doesn't have fashion. She doesn't have to worry quite so much about money as most people do. So she does keep up a little bit with the fashion, especially for events like this.
Yeah, not high fashion, but fashion.
A pleasure to meet you. Well, Mr. Diamond, if you and your doctor would follow me, and she turns around and walks out the room.
Certainly. Great.
And I follow along with Carol on my arm.
She didn't explicitly tell Carol to stay behind, but Carol at least knows that that's what she meant. But that's okay. I mean, she doesn't, stop you from coming.
No.
She goes up the stairs, and you guys follow her upstairs, and it's wide stairs and, curved. And anyway, go down the hall, and she takes out a key, and she unlocks a door, and there's a smallish room with a bed in the middle, and a young woman sitting on the bed in a nightgown, looking kind of vacantly off into space. Oh, and she looks like this. I got a picture of her, I think. Yeah. Oh, no, that's not. That's not good. I have a picture of it. Give me a minute. Doodly doodly doo. No, that is not it. That ain't it. That ain't it. Oh, there you go. Let's see. Well, I don't have a great picture of her. Oh, wait, here you go. Yeah. Wow. Boo. Okay. Kind of a Taylor Swifty looking girl. There you go. Helen. Not wearing a denim jacket with stars all over it. But that's basically it. A little bit younger than Margaret, and pretty and blonde, and staring vacantly into space. So that's what you got. The room is empty of almost everything. There's a bed. There is a dresser. There's no brush or comb or mirror on the dresser. There's no mirror behind the dresser. If you're attentive, you can kind of see there's a shadow on the wall where the wallpaper is a little bit brighter in this area and a little bit darker outside where a mirror used to be. So it's like that. There's pretty much anything she could use to hurt herself has been removed. And if you don't figure that out on your own, someone will explain it to you later. But so the room looks kind of empty, and she's just kind of staring off into space. And next to her is a middle-aged lady, black lady, dressed in a nurse's uniform. And she looks at you guys with not hostility, but she's watching you. So be on your best behavior, that kind of look. Okay, Margaret opens the door and says, and walks in and says, okay, this is Helen, this is Ellie, her nurse, and Helen, this is Johnny Diamond, his friend Ms. Desjardins, and Dr. Celadon?
Celadon, yes.
Celadon. And Helen does not respond.
Okay. Give Helen a kind of cursory once over, and then ask the nurse if she's been monitoring her vitals or if she has noticed anything out of the ordinary, or fairly standard, typical doctor type questions like, how is she physically? Is she responsive? Stuff like that.
Well, currently, Helen's just sitting there on the bed in a bathrobe and staring into space. Oh, and her hair's wet, like she just recently had a bath or something.
Okay.
And the nurse answers. At first, she seems reluctant to answer you, but your questions all seem very doctory. So
right.
She falls into habit and explains, well, she doesn't respond. She'll walk around if you lead her. She doesn't answer questions or respond to you when you talk. Although, as you're looking at her, you can see her lips are moving. Like she's mumbling to herself.
Okay.
But you can't hear anything. And the nurse will actually then mention that after you've noticed it. Yeah, her mouth moves like she's talking, or like she's mumbling or whispering, but I can't hear anything. So okay. She's not actually talking.
Well, let's see what else we can find out. First off, I'll check her aura, see if she has, or see if I can see an aura. I'll take a minute or so to prepare this.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, you don't get any bonus die for a minute. You get a bonus die for an hour.
I'm not going to spend that much.
Okay. Do you look into her eyes?
Yeah, certainly. That's where I start.
Okay.
Stare deep into her eyes.
Let's call this a presence roll. Just a flat presence roll.
Okay.
Tell me what you get.
10.
Oh, wow. You win all kinds of good.
Oh, thank you.
You look into her eyes, and you feel kind of like a dizzy, losing your balance kind of sensation, like you are falling into her eyes. But you snap out of it almost immediately, and it has no particular lasting effects. So, now, make a diplomacy roll. Since you made that one. You have to make another one.
14.
Wow, you're rocking it. Okay. You can see why someone might fall in love with this beautiful, damaged waif. That someone would consider himself her white knight and swear to revive her from her troubled sleep so he could live forever with her in a magical castle. Fortunately, you're not that kind of someone. Not that kind of someone. Sorry, it just struck me really funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's clearly a damaged waif, so, I mean, there's that much to it anyway.
But I'm afraid I left the whole knight in shining armor thing behind a couple of decades, or at least a decade.
Yeah. It kind of reminds you about... It's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember what that felt like. It's like that.
Arms in slightly rusty plate.
Yeah.
Aside from all that, there is clearly something very wrong with Helen.
Okay.
So,
do a read magic on her. And at this point, I'm probably going to start blowing my cover, because I'll pull out like a crystalline wand or something like that and start setting it in front of her eyes and incanting and stuff like that. This is the actual active magic rather than passive stuff.
So this is more than just like the passive mage sight. You're actually going to cast a spell on her.
Yeah, I want to read if anything magical has been done to her.
Okay. Let's see. I wonder what that would be.
So what, a divination, I guess?
Let's see. Yeah. Thaumaturgy, reason plus power. And she's right there in front of you, so it's not hard. And you're not trying to be subtle, so that's not hard. So, yeah. Make a thaumaturgy, reason plus power roll.
Reason plus power?
Yeah. In general, when you make magic rolls, it's reason plus power. Okay. If you're trying to influence somebody, it'd be presence plus power, and et cetera, et cetera. But usually it's whatever the relevant attribute would be for a non-magical interaction, plus power.
Okay.
So.
Rolled a 15, then. Not a particular.
Zowie. I rolled completely average. So you nail it by a couple of different things. So what actually did happen to her?
Gnomes!
I quietly comment to Margaret, you see there are doctors, and then there are doctors.
Yeah, apparently Helen isn't home anymore. So, like, she's in there, but she is so very far away that, like, you're not even really looking at her anymore. Make a Thaumaturgy reason roll. No power. It's just
12.
cool. Yeah, you think somebody has so overwhelmed her mind with horrific images that she has withdrawn into herself way, 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 way past the point that you're never going to get her again.
Okay.
This did not happen accidentally.
Someone, obviously, someone deliberately traumatized her to the point of catatonia.
Yeah. Magically so. That much is obvious to you.
Okay. Can I think of any way that it can be at least partially reversed, if not completely reversed? Or is she a write-off at this point?
Oh, that would be depressing, wouldn't it? I'm going to say you think there's hope, but it would not be a short-term thing. It would require, like, regular magical treatment over the course of probably months.
Okay.
To try coax her out just a little bit by little bit. And probably it would involve, like, selectively erasing pieces of her memory along the way. So by the time you were done, she would essentially be more or less the person she was before it happened, but anything since then would be gone.
Okay.
And it's iffy because there's memories are not built exactly that way, so it's not like you can just start erasing at one end until you get to the point you want. It's more like
they're interconnected. It's a woven pattern rather than a series of lines.
Yeah. So she would probably lose more than you actually intend her to lose.
Right. Okay. Well, after I'm done with my assessment, again, kind of poke around and see if I can get any clue as to what caused this or who caused this, if there's a signature attached to it, or like any kind of a flavor of who might have done it, or if it wasn't a human, if a creature might have done it. Because I know the Fae are big on screwing with people's minds, and so are demons, so...
Okay, make a thaumaturgy roll on that.
Alright. And I do have to think about demons. This is Reason. 14.
Oh, wow, good roll. You're reasonably certain, because you've had not recent, but you've had interactions with fairy magic and how that works. This isn't like that.
Okay.
It doesn't have that kind of vibe to it. It more has a not necromantic exactly, but definitely malicious vibe to it. It's a human thing. Human beings definitely did this. It wasn't a creature that did this.
Right.
This kind of vibe, it has the feel of human malice.
All right.
Which is, oddly enough, distinct from, like, your, werewolves or vampires or demons or ghouls or whatever.
All right. In which case, when I'm done, take the sister aside and tell her, and ask her if she would like me to give her this information in private.
She looks over at Johnny Diamond, and she looks at the nurse, and she says to the nurse, step into the other room for a moment, please. And the nurse balks at that and says, Miss Margaret, and she says, go, I'll call you back. And she goes into the other room and closes the door. Clunk.
Okay, not wanting to be the bearer of bad tidings, but your sister has been repeatedly magically traumatized to the point where she has been induced into a catatonic state. Whoever did it was a human agent, near as I can tell. It was not a magical creature. It was not a member of the Fae. But someone over a period of time induced a series of mental, magically induced traumas into your sister, and they have basically caused her to completely withdraw from this world. I cannot tell you that there is no hope of retrieving your sister's mind from where it's hiding inside her head, but it would be a very long and drawn out process, probably taking months, and it would probably involve selectively erasing the traumas from her mind. So your sister is still there. She's just not ever going to find her way home unless you get a qualified, ideally, mentalist to come in and take a look and basically draw her back out.
Will you step outside, please, in the hall?
Sure.
I want to speak to Mr. Diamond.
Yep. And I'll step out in the hall with the nurse.
Okay. When I guess just if Carol doesn't go, she'll say, hey, "You too, sweetie."
Yeah, I'll step out.
Okay. She steps really close to John Diamond. She says, "If you were trying to grift me, you will regret it."
My dear, if I were trying to grift you, I could think of a dozen ways that it would be easier.
Can he be trusted? Is what he's saying true? Or are you trying to get me on the hook for some kind of never-ending magical snake oil?
That's why I didn't suggest doing it myself.
You may find your own mentalist if you like.
So you think what he's saying is on the up and up?
I have known that man to lie boldly. I have known him to lie gently. This was neither.
You're weird. She opens the door and she says, "Okay, come back." Right then. So can you tell who did this?
Only that it was a person, not a creature. It smacks of malevolent magic rather than, say, an effect caused by the Fae or by demons or something of that nature. So a magician with evil intent has done this.
So someone did do this to her. I knew it.
Yes. This didn't happen by accident. She was specifically targeted by someone to have this done to her. And again, it's not the sort of thing that would happen by mistake. I would also very much recommend that you contact a qualified mentalist, someone who knows exactly what they're how to deal with this sort of thing. I'm a generalist. I'm not an expert in this field.
Okay. That makes sense.
I wonder if there is any way to further decipher who might have done this.
Well, that's why I contacted you.
You're talking about specifically?
Specifically,
I don't know, Brandon, is it possible that I could track that down if I took more time?
Maybe.
I give Carol a win. There are some dogs that should be loosed upon such a person.
Well, I can attempt like a ritual. It'll take some time, though. But it will probably improve my chances of doing a backtrack and retroactively finding out who caused this. I offer no guarantees.
When would you want to do that?
The sooner the better. Unless I know that specifically there's a time of day or time of night that it would be better to do this than any other.
Nah.
Phases of the moon, Jupiter is in a certain house, that sort of thing. But yeah, otherwise, the longer you wait, the less your chances get.
Okay. I guess there's no harm in that. I mean, there's no harm in that, right? There's no risk to her.
It won't make her any worse.
Okay.
I'm not summoning demons or anything here. I'm just trying to set up a lengthy ritual to increase the chances of getting more details.
Okay. I guess that's fine. When do you want to arrange that?
This afternoon, we can give me a few hours to collect the items that I need, and I can be back, say, later this afternoon or this evening.
Okay. I'll be here for that.
Okay. Let me get some gear, make some phone calls, and I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I take it you don't want any other outside involvement at this point?
I'd really prefer not.
Okay. That's why I'm asking you before I call anybody and see if I can find an expert in this matter to assist. I'll attempt it myself at first, and if we find later on that greater measures are called for, then I'll tell you that. I'll let you know and let you make the decision.
I tell Doc Celadon directly, utmost discretion.
Okay, I'll keep it under my hat.
All right then. Is there anything else you wanted?
I can probably do what I need to do here in this room. So let me go get the equipment that I need, and I'll return.
Okay.
I'll turn to Marta. I do hope that we can find who did this.
I hope so.
Even if we cannot return your sister's mind, I would like to repay.
Until he mentioned it, I didn't even think that was a possibility. So, do what you can. And you'll be back in a few hours?
Yes.
Okay. She shows you out.
Okay.
No, as soon as we have information, I definitely intend to.
yeah.
Provide for who did this case. That is in my purview.
I didn't quite hear that. Would you say, Kieran?
That if we can find out who did it, that does become my purview.
Yes,
It actually does. Tangentially, anyway.
Her job.
Yeah, you can start looking to find out anybody who is an expert in malevolent mind magic.
Torture, really.
Yeah.
Cross-referencing.
There can't be that many of them. I mean, how many Cthulhus are living around here?
Yeah.
So you guys head back to town. Doc Celadon goes about collecting various accoutrements. And what do you guys do while he's doing that?
Dads and stuff.
What did Carol and Johnny Diamond do in the meantime? Just kicking out?
Yeah, unless Carol wants to do a little research on malevolent mentalists.
I've already been in the office today.
Yeah, they might get suspicious.
Going in tomorrow might be better, or waiting till Monday. We'll see.
Let's wait until we have more information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely get some
probably going to take about 24 hours, so you'll have plenty of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I say we enjoy the weekend until Doc Celadon comes in with some data.
With coffee, I'm going to need a lot of coffee.
I think someone here can help with that.
Okay. No.
We need more coffee. We have 6 thermoses. Yes. We need more coffee.
It's not enough, man.
On the character sheet, Johnny Diamond has a chemical dependency of coffee. He really does drink those huge mugs of coffee like all the time. So how terribly American of him, right?
Okay. Wow. All right. So you head back to the
Deacon
Weird.
House?
The
Cafe.
Deacon Manor.
Deacon Manor, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna-
It's bigger than it was.
Some weird stuff here. All right, you head back to the manor. Laurent, the butler, greets you again.
Okay.
Tells you to wait in the foyer. Eventually, Miss Margaret, who is dressed in a different outfit than she was earlier, more of an evening outfit, but not like going out on the town evening, more like at home, but still completely, fully, and appropriately dressed evening outfit.
I'm in
Anyway,
the
she
stuff I had on before.
greets you, takes you upstairs. Helen is in her room again, still locked. She unlocks the door, opens it up.
Okay.
Helen is dressed, in a modest attire, fully dressed this time, hair dried and coiffed. And Ellie, the nurse, is there, looking at you suspiciously. And right, so says Margaret.
Flirt with the nerves. Flirt with the nerves.
Now what?
Now,
Margaret just looks at you expectantly. So
now it's going to take about somewhere between 12 and 24 hours to complete this, so let me get started. And I got my bag full of stuff, and I'll start laying out patterns on the floor and, set a mirror up on the wall and, just go through all of the arcane ritual stuff that you need to do to set up. First off, I want to set up a blessing to try and increase my possibility of getting the actual main spell right, and then set that up as, I don't know, what would you want to call it, like a divination, or...
that sounds reasonable.
But yeah, something along the lines is basically I just want to scroll back through her mind and see if I can figure out what was done to her and who was responsible for it. And set the mirror up as just like a viewing, like a scrying glass, so I can get some visuals on it. And then set up like a tuning fork for sound and, all that kind of ritual stuff.
Okay. You need 6 plus her presence, which is basically very, very low at the time. So say 7. We'll call it scrying. Sure. And you just want to rewind over like about a week ago and see where she went, what happened?
Exactly, yeah. And I don't necessarily need to know all the details, but I want to find out who cast this on her and what they did, and if there is any possibility of getting information to help undo it. That I may not end up being the one to do it because I'm not an expert in this matter, but I can at least provide information to whoever does actually start doing the therapy on it.
She was about to snap.
And I'm pretty much going to throw myself into this because it's one of the things that my character left his original line of work to do, was to help out people like this. Just a little bit higher class than what I'm used to, because I'm used to dealing with the Dregs Society, but...
So remember to up your rates accordingly.
Hey, I'm doing this in favor to you, man, not to her, so I'll collect from you later.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so, okay, I got a name of the guy. So, while Doc Celadon takes, like, the next day doing this, you guys just become impromptu house guests of Deacon Manor? Is that the deal, or what?
No, I thought we were going to do our normal lives.
Yeah, we didn't want to trump on him.
There's not a whole lot we can do to improve.
Oh, what are you doing in the meantime? You got a day? Or you just...
It's a
your
Sunday.
normal lives?
We do what we do on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, you just go about your normal business.
Go to church and then a little light debauchery to make up for it.
Right. Go to church. Say hello to God.
Catch up
He's
on
doing fine.
Confess our sins, make a few more.
The hell? Something just flew past me. That was weird.
It looks suspiciously like a P-47 Thunderbolt from where I'm sitting.
Could have been. Just very, very small.
Very small. P-47.
Okay. You spend a full-on day at this. I think that gives you plus 2 dice. Let me double check. Ritual magics. A day. 2 bonus dice in addition to your other bonus dices.
Okay.
This may seem absurd because you have her literally sitting in front of you.
Right.
But if you have something of hers or like a lock of hair or something.
Oh, similarity, yeah. I assumed that I was going to grab something like that.
Yeah, if there are no personal effects, anything small enough to throw or swallow.
I'll ask the sister if she's got anything she was carrying or wearing when she found her.
Yes, she says.
That would help.
The police took it and then brought it back, but I kept it because I thought it might be important. I'll be right back. And she leaves. And a few minutes later, she comes back with a paper bag. And in the paper bag is a flimsy little nightgown that has blood on it.
Okay. So much the better.
Ooh, blood. Even better.
Add that in.
Okay. So you get 2 dice for the ritual, and you get another die for the sympathetic magic.
Okay.
So, by Sunday afternoon, you get to roll some dice. So, I had this much, and her presence, which is like super, super low, but still there. So that much. So, okay. I know what you need to roll. Do your thing.
I rolled a 28.
Good God, man!
I'm rolling like 6 dice here.
Well, that's rather more than you needed.
Okay.
Okay. What you get that you think is relevant, because you like, and it's not so much like fast forwarding through a movie as it is flipping through animation cells. They're like
Right.
snapshots.
I'm seeing pictures, yeah.
Yeah, and if you do them fast enough, it seems like it's moving, right? But you flip. She's walking along. She gets picked up by somebody. She goes somewhere. She drinks, not out of a mason jar, but a mason jar gets poured into glasses, and she's with a guy you don't know, with lots of other people who are clearly deferential toward this guy. He is the most important guy in the room. That you can pick up with 28. Yes, you definitely pick up. This guy is the focus of not only her attention, but everyone else's attention. And you're seeing stuff from her point of view. So,
Right.
yeah. So they are drinking out of like crystal glasses, but that have been poured from a mason jar. Big one. Her vision gets blurry, but it's clear enough. You see she's taken in a car somewhere, taken to what you think is a garage or a workshop, something of that nature. And then another guy who she doesn't see particularly clearly, but if you saw him again, you'd recognize him. And he has like a big brass box, and he puts it's on a table in front of her, and she sits in front of this big brass box, and it's got clasps that open and like swing open like this, revealing like a rock of some kind. And then you kind of have to fast forward past through this part because they are scenes of unremitting horror. And you're not exactly sure how long that took. From her point of view, it was years.
Right.
And it just went on and on and on and on and on. And eventually, it like fades away into like a gray void
Right.
that is peaceful.
Currently resides.
which is where she currently resides. Yes. There you go. That's what you got.
Okay. Is it possible to take one of the mental images that I saw and translate it into a physical image?
Maybe.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to take the faces of the people she saw and throw them up onto the mirror that I put in the room.
Oh. Like temporarily or permanently? I mean, semi-permanently.
Semi-permanently. Long enough so that other people can look at it and try and identify the people.
People there in the house, yeah. I mean, if you want it more long-term than that, it'd be more work. But for right now, sure.
Okay. Well, I'll do that. The short-term one.
Roll some dice.
All right.
Let's see how accurate the images are.
I'm just rolling normal dice now because I don't have the extra time or anything. So,
It'd be thaumaturgy, reason plus power.
oh, that's a reason plus power. So, 22.
Jesus.
Well, keep in mind, my reason plus power is 11 to begin with.
My goodness. Well,
I'm
you
good
needed
at-
a 16.
Okay.
So, how big is this mirror we were talking about? Is it like hand mirror or
No, it's
wall mirror?
like a probably like a shaving mirror, like the size of a monitor on a laptop, maybe 14,
like
15.
legal pad sized mirror?
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go, like that.
Yeah, there you go. All right. In the mirror, you have faces of who?
The guy that picked her up, and the people she was drinking with, and the guy that put the box in front, and just
Oh, okay.
showed the images, and then asked the sister, you know these people, because they're the ones who were abducted.
She knows the guy he was drinking with. She did not realize he was socializing with him, because that is Michel Galabru, who was and may still be, for all she knows, one of her father's bookies.
One of her father's what?
Bookies.
Oh,
She
okay.
thinks that's the word for it. The people to whom her father routinely used to owe money.
Then I very strongly suspect that your father got your sister involved in this because he is heavily in debt. Can't say it for certain. There may be some other reason involved, but I'm pretty sure money or power is one of the things that's getting your sister in this predicament.
I don't think my father would do that.
He probably didn't have anything to do with it. She was probably used made an example of as a threat to him. That would be my guess. Again, that's just all conjecture. But I will give her the whole story of everything that I saw, including the following people.
Okay. And you're certain of this?
I am as certain as I can be, yes. Your sister was abducted by the following people. They exposed her to an object of diabolic intent, which placed images of unspeakable horror into her mind to the point where she has withdrawn from the world entirely. Now, if you consult with a practitioner of the church, a licensed practitioner of the church, I'm relatively certain that you can find, with the amount of money that you have, a mentalist healer who can not only start your sister on the road to recovering from this, but may very well be able to corroborate the information that I have given you.
So, as far as you're concerned, you're done then. You've done what you can.
I've gone as far as I can as far as determining what happened to your sister.
Very well. Thank you, Doctor.
What happens next really is up to you.
I will confer with Mr. Diamond and see what our next steps can be. Thank you for your time. You look very tired. Do you wish to sleep? We have rooms.
If you could contact Mr. Diamond and have him come pick me up, I will get myself out of your hair.
If you think that's best. But you're welcome to stay.
As I said, I'll be leaving.
I'll give him a call.
Once again, I cannot stress enough that you honestly should contact an expert about this. If for whatever reason you cannot contact an expert, if you want me to continue to try and heal your sister, I can certainly give it a try. But again, it's not my field of expertise.
I will take your recommendation and seek an expert.
Okay.
There is a phone call at the club where I assume Johnny Diamond is. Either that or a courier shows up at wherever Johnny Diamond is and says, a Margaret Deacon called and said, your associate has completed his tasks and would like to be picked up.
Okay. I will take the car and go to pick him up. If Carol is around, she's invited, but...
Let's assume Carol's around. Hey, Carol! Funny thing, he just got a phone call.
Alright.
Want to take a ride?
Sure.
Okay.
Pick Carol up.
That's right. I'll switch on the other side.
Get in time.
This might be too complicated for me to follow. Okay, but I think I've got what's going on.
Anyway, once I get in the car with Johnny Diamond and Carol, I'll say, yeah, it looks like the father's bookie did this. Or at least set it up.
Yeah, you pick him up at the Deacon house. Margaret says to Johnny Diamond, it's like, after you are done here with your doctor, I may have something else I'd like your assistance with. Give me a call later, please.
Bring a half brick and a length of lead pipe.
You do kind of get that vibe. But anyway, you guys drive away and talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, I'll explain to them what I saw.
While it's fresh in his mind, I talk Doc Celadon through a verbal description of the dude with the box of stairs.
With the you're talking about the whoever the magician was? Yeah, I'm gonna.
Someone that Carol might be able to look at some mugshots and.
Oh yeah, here. I can probably still show you the images, but they're gonna fade after a while. I only set them up temporarily.
Fun fact: Johnny actually recognizes one of the guys, Michel Galabru, the guy she's drinking with, recognizes him, and but you don't recognize anybody else.
Okay.
And yeah, show Carol an image of the whoever it was that had the box.
Okay.
And does that particular item coincide with anything I might have heard of before?
Make a reason thaumaturgy roll.
Reason thaumaturgy.
I think I might try that one myself.
12.
Wow.
Not quite so good.
Do you have thaumaturgy?
I do.
Oh, zowie. All right, you can make a roll.
Great. I took thaumaturgy because I used to deal in black market items.
That's fine.
How I made enough money down in the club.
What do you roll?
9 on the dice.
Plus reason.
6 for reason. So, 15.
Wow. All right. Well, there are always rumors of, and from Johnny's point of view, it's in the sense of things that get smuggled and sold, like kind of like rare art objects, except in this case they're occult objects. This one is called the Nightmare Stone because you look at it and you get nightmares. Most people look away. So, yeah, it's just one of those things you've heard about. Like, you couldn't even say when's the last place it was seen. It's not even like that. It's just like, oh, well, yeah, I've heard about something like that. You know, it's more like that.
I was going to say, is it a nightmare stone or the nightmare stone?
Well, it would be the.
Okay.
But it's the sort of thing like, oh, yeah, I heard there was a thing that could do that.
Yeah, the nightmare stone? What's that even doing on this continent? Well, scratch that last question.
Inducing nightmares would be my guess.
Nightmare stone. Whoa. Carol, this would definitely be your purview.
Yeah.
If someone in this town has the nightmare stone, this may be only the beginning of the trouble.
Would Carol have heard of the Nightmare Stone?
Doesn't your department deal with magical objects and magical little equipment anyway?
Well, you could look it up. It's not something she would know off the top of her head, but she might be able to go look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do
That's
need.
what we're setting her up with is the thing to look for in the face of the guy who's currently got it.
Okay. Well, if you drive Carol back to her office, she can go look it up and make investigation roll and see if you find reference to it.
Yep.
If you want. You don't have to.
Oh.
It's not something she recognized off the top of her head.
Oh, no, I say we all just go swimming instead.
Perfect weather for it.
Actually, I'll fall asleep in the back of the car because I've been incanting for the past 24 hours.
Okay. So you get back to the SIT offices where Carol works. Do you let these guys in? It's a Sunday. There's nobody. There's like a guard at the door, and that's it.
If I can do it without getting in trouble, yes. If not, then I go in and I tell them I'll meet them at the club or something.
If they follow you in and you don't look like you're being held at gunpoint, the guard is just going to say, "Evening, Miss Desjardins," and that'll be it.
Then we'll do that.
There can't be anything wrong with letting the highly illegal, unlicensed magician into the building full of magical police.
Of course, if he's dead tired like that and sleeping in the back of the car, I might be like,
Yeah,
might just leave him in the back of the car.
You want me to? I'm just going to crash in the back of the car.
well, it's also -5 Celsius, so I'll probably be like, why don't you take him home? I will meet you back at the club. You don't want to leave somebody in the car.
Oh, you come back and he's like all blue and frosty. That'd be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you take him home? Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
All right. So, Carol, you dig through files and you're like looking through. It's not things your agency has actually found. It's more of a reference for things that if you find something, that you can describe it and cross-reference it and find out what it is. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because you guys don't always know what it is you found, so you have to like cross-reference and identify it. It's kind of like a magician's desk reference kind of a thing. So, but yeah, big rock, brass box, conjures images of unremitting horror. Yeah, Nightmare Stone. And You pull it up and it gives like a what your agency knows about it summary, which is very, very little. What it's supposed to look like, the box it supposedly was last seen in, symptoms of people who've been exposed to it, which is essentially sweating, paleness, nightmares, insomnia.
Screaming, lots of screaming.
Lots of screaming.
And catatonia for the list.
Catatonia is not on the list, but it mentions it was suspected in organized crime activities in Paris, like 30 years ago. So, being used as an interrogation device during the war.
All right.
But on the right side, by French gangsters. So, there you go. That's what Carol finds. You don't have Xerox machines, but you can, write out longhand like the salient details of that if you want, or you can just remember it. It's not that much to it.
Yeah. Also, they mentioned a name. Did you guys mention the name of?
Description.
The name that
Bookie.
Margaret gave you of the guy. She called him a bookie. Michel Galabru. Now, that's just normal criminal kind of research, but you look that stuff up, and we'll say you've got access. It's like a different floor of the building, but
Yeah.
you go there. You've been there before for reasons similar to this. He's actually a casino owner. Well, on the paperwork, it's a dance and music hall,
Yeah.
but in the unofficial description, it says, suspected illegal casino, illegal this, illegal that. It's related to prostitution, gambling, various other,
Loan
things like
sharking.
that. Loan sharking, sure, all that stuff. Has a list of known associates as of 2 years ago, which is the last time this file was updated. So, because it's paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a gangster.
Obviously.
Which family is he associated with?
Yeah,
The Perrin.
Anwar or Maghrabi or which of the crime families?
Well, there are 4 main branches of the Mio. There's the Perrin, also called the Godfathers or the Corsicans. There's the Maghrebi. There's the Pied Noir, also called the Algerians, and the Gitans, also called the Travelers. The Perrin are the classic Godfather mafia, and that's who the Egyptian is associated with, and that is also who Michel Galabru is associated with.
Okay. We have our lead.
All right. Well, once I get with this.
Well, wait for Doc Sullivan to rest up.
All right, you go your various ways.
We don't want to go in without our wizard.
You go your various ways and rest up for 6 to 8 hours. Let him have enough time to sleep, which brings you around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. At which it's much colder now. It's like negative 10 degrees centigrade.
Okay. Now,
And it's snowing.
are any of the higher ups in that crime family this guy from the guy who opened the box?
Oh, you don't know who the guy who opened the box was.
Yeah,
You have
that's
a
what I
picture
wanna
of him, but
find out.
you don't know who
And
he is.
I'm assuming he's part of that crime family.
That seems a reasonable assumption, but you don't know that.
Well, we've got an image of him. Can we compare it to other images of known criminals?
Maybe. You ask Carol to do that? Because she's the one who has access to that sort of thing.
Yeah, when she gets a chance. Anyway, I'm gonna have to wrap it up here soon, Brandon, because I gotta
That's fine. We're good.
go to work.
You've we'll wrap up. It's let's say 8 o'clock Sunday night. It's dark outside. It's freezing cold. It has started snowing again. You're gonna have Carol. The picture on the image on the mirror is very faded by now, but you're gonna have Carol dig through her files and just see if she can find this guy.
Yeah.
Related to the Paran.
Yeah.
Gangsters.
We know that one guy's related to that particular group of
You do.
mafias. Let's see if the other guys are.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, that seems like a good place to wrap up. All right, then. We're going to wrap up. Any trailing questions before we call it a night?
Nope. I'm just happy to be back.
No, it would probably be unwise for me to start poking around the black market for a nightmare stone right now.
And while you're poking around for a nightmare stone, could you see if you can find a death ray too? I need one of those.
Oh yeah, give me.
Yeah. I'll
I share the information about that to you, which, is like, it doesn't say anything that, I don't know where it is, but I can,
You don't see any... Carol does not find any references to a death ray.
Damn, the death rays.
You're fresh out of death rays.
only a dead person.
Okay. This has been Rough Magic, Chapter 2. With Karen Torres, Donald Von Griffin, Lloyd Montgomery, and me, your GM, Brandon Blackmore. Preparation is really the most important part of any game. I should do it someday. You guys have a good night. Great idea. Should put it into practice sometime. All right, you guys have a good night.
You too.
Everybody, have a good night.